The John, Anik, and Kenny Florian podcast. John, Anik, and Kenny Florian.
I fucking love them. I can't get enough of them.
Let's hear that Boston next.
Big jab there from Duffy, and Frank Mir is hurt now. Down goes Duffy, out cold. Frank Mir does it again. Rock'em sock'em robots here. Oh my goodness. Hyperbole.
There are a couple of absolutely self-involved bullshit artists.
Here are your hosts, John, Anik, and Kenny Florian.
Well, how about it, kid? Episode 300 of the Anik and Florian podcast. Good to have you with us. Monday, May 10th, 2021. And would you believe 6 years ago, sitting in Los Angeles, California, in an orange studio, God love you, TJ DeSantis. Had a little reluctance back then, but here we are, man. Every single goddamn week for 6 years. It's good to see you, kid. And whoa, you got a new studio. Is this just for episode 300? My goodness.
I built this just for the Anik and Florian podcast.
Yeah, right. It looks like it.
No, man. I'm excited, dude. It's crazy. 300 episodes. It's been fun the whole time, dude. And I'm glad we've stuck with it. I'm glad you convinced me, and we've been having a whole lot of fun, man, over the last 6 years, I guess.
Well, if you've been listening for the last 6 years, you know that Ken Flo, it's not that you don't take compliments well, but he just doesn't like when I talk about his fight career. And I reference some of these big wins, singularly like Joe Lozon in 2008 in the main event and the Clay Guida win we always seem to come back to just in terms of, I think the lack of choke execution right in modern day mixed martial arts, generally speaking. But now he's got a picture of him choking Clay Guida nearly unconscious right behind him. So anytime I reference that fight, of course, I can just reference that beautiful photo behind you. So, all right, we have a lot to get to today. Sayif Saud is scheduled to join us in about 15 minutes as part of this UFC Fight Night Rodriguez versus Waterson recap because he had three major players on the fight card. I'm hurting a little bit today, Ken Flo. I'm not going to lie. I've had a lot of ounces of coffee. I've had more ounces of coffee today than any day in my life, and it's only 10:30 a.m. Eastern. I've just been pounding it after hitting the red eye. Red eye back for Mother's Day. Can't wait for Father's Day, by the way. I'm just going to sleep. Can we just sleep all day on Father's Day? So a lot to get to. Of course, it's a pay-per-view week as well, so we will get picks on UFC 262 from both Ian Parker and Joe Osborne, and hopefully a special Ray Longo Minute if these senior citizens can wake up in the middle of the day and wake up because they have naps and things like that. So a lot to get to today, but we begin with headlines and not going to change the format 300 episodes in, Ken Flo. I like your t-shirt, AnikFlorianPodcast.com. Let's recap this Rodriguez versus Waterson fight card, and we will start with what was an outstanding main event. Not the fight of the night, but really an engaging, enjoyable 25 minutes. I love watching Marina Rodriguez fight live, and of course, Waterson, to your tweet, game as hell. What'd you think of the main event, and did you have it 4-1 as two of the three judges did?
I thought it was a great fight. I really enjoyed it, actually. Rodriguez is definitely. I think it was Cormier who really kind of compared her to Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and I think that's a really good assessment, especially early on Joanna Jędrzejczyk. But yeah, she puts together these high combinations early on, and was really stinging Michelle throughout the fight. And Waterson was game throughout that whole process. She did her best to try to keep her at bay. And I think in the clinch is where also Rodriguez was doing a lot of damage from there due to the height advantage and all that stuff. But man, Waterson really hung in there. I thought she won the fourth round, but I thought, yes, the other 4 rounds were definitely for Rodriguez.
Speaking of height advantage, look at my height advantage today. The way we're framed up, you like that? Towering over you. So, yeah, I mean, certainly Waterson had some moments, a big fourth round. I'm not sure if this is breaking news for people, but Marina Rodriguez got to Vegas at like 3 p.m. Pacific on Thursday, bro. Like, there's no way she could have cut to 115 pounds, obviously. But can we acknowledge this athlete stepping into her first UFC main event showcase and getting in just before the fight? She wasn't able to attend our fighter meeting, wasn't able to do a fighter meeting with us. I'm trying to prep the athlete, and it was hard to get details. I found one article that sort of acknowledged some of her preparation and some of the challenges in getting here and getting ready. So I just wanted to acknowledge her on that front, because if she fights in another UFC main event, despite the fact that she's in the gym all the time, she's going to have 8 weeks to prepare for this opponent. Seemingly neither of these women, Kenny, even though they thought this might be the fight, were actually in camp for this opponent and still were able to put on 25 minutes, largely of greatness, in my humble opinion.
It's amazing that they were able to do that with all those things. I thought both those ladies showed not only a lot of toughness, but a lot of skill. And to be that sharp and to go 25 minutes on short notice is extremely impressive. I definitely noticed that Rodriguez looked a little, she didn't have that same kind of focus. She seemed a little bit, perturbed before that fight to start, and that makes sense given that story.
Yeah. And for Michelle Waterson as well, former Invicta FC atomweight champion, as many of you know, that's 105 pounds. This was her flyweight debut as a pro, essentially competing 20 pounds above what would be her optimal weight class. Certainly, I think at this point, cutting to 106 or 105 for her probably sounds too ambitious, right? But again, she's a strawweight or an atomweight, and just much respect to her in defeat. As far as Marina Rodriguez moving forward in the strawweight division, and certainly this propels her forward as a strawweight. She had the higher ranking to begin with, but she wants Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and it would seem to me like Jędrzejczyk is coming back for special fights and title fights at this point in time. I've acknowledged that I thought Joanna Jędrzejczyk beat Zhang Weili and could have easily regained the title that night.
I agree with you.
But what is your appetite for the fight between Rodriguez and Jędrzejczyk in a main event? Because I think that's the only logic would be that would be a 5-round fight.
Right. I think Marina has a little bit of work to do, before she defeats someone like Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I think that Joanna does everything a little bit better. In some instances, I think that perhaps Marina has a better clinch game. But again, perhaps we didn't see the best Marina on Saturday night. So, but I would like to see her, and I tweeted about this, I'd like to see her sit down on her punches a little bit more. She was kind of winging arm punches as opposed to kind of sitting down and using the floor to really generate that power. Right. When she starts to do that, she is going to get even more knockouts than she's been getting. I think maybe some footwork things, but it might be a little early for me. And not to say she won't give her a great fight, but if she wants to get the win over her, I think it would probably benefit her to get one more fight before that at least.
All right, we shall see. I think rankings-wise, it's going to be hard to get another fight, right? Because it's a logjam there, and we'll see what happens with Tatiana Suarez too, because she is going to factor prominently in this equation if and when she does come back. And it also looked as though Marina Rodriguez was playing basketball the next day at the host hotel, unless my timeline is off on that. What an absolute warrior. But congratulations to both women, and thanks for stepping up, for the betterment of the sport and the promotion. All right, co-main event, Alex Morono over Donald Cowboy Cerrone by TKO at 4:40 of round 1. Oh, a lot to digest here. We're going to get to Morono in great detail with Sayif Saud here in about 8 minutes. So I guess we'll start with Donald Cowboy Cerrone, Kenny. 37 UFC appearances now. He had an extended layoff before this one. He desired a move back down to 155 pounds. The UFC wanted him to fight Diego Sanchez. That fight didn't happen. Stayed in this fight against Alex Morono. Some would suggest against his better judgment, but he was certainly favored at a 2-1 clip to win this fight. What are your thoughts on Donald Cerrone, and what did you see out of him in this loss on Saturday?
This was a tough one. I think that for Donald Cerrone, he has been largely the same fighter for a long time. And I think that there's a major issue with the way that I think he enters into some of his exchanges. And his head is right there for the taking. And I think that people are getting onto it, and people are understanding that, while Donald Cerrone is a very, very dangerous offensive fighter, defensively, when he's moving back, you could really score some nice shots on him. And I think that's what people are kind of onto now. And they're just getting very aggressive and starting fast, right? That's always been kind of the knock on Donald. And I think that for the most part, that's true. But I also think he hasn't filled that gap defensively. And I think that's where he's failing as of right now. And it's being exposed repeatedly. Morono did the right thing, did the right game plan. Morono is also offensively very dangerous as well. Yeah. He gave Pettis a handful in his last fight. So I think he caught Cerrone and never let Cerrone back into the fight, man. I think that's what it comes down to. And for Donald, again, this is a guy with over 50 professional fights. Would you say 36, 37 professional fights in the UFC, fighting the best of the best? That's insane to me. That is
Yeah,
crazy.
right.
And it's amazing what he's accomplished at the highest levels, but that has your effect on you. Any sport like MMA,
Yeah.
football, these sports that are going to be brutal on your body is going to be tough. And Cerrone, I think, is kind of, is feeling that for sure, right?
So, yes, absolutely. Alex Morono spends a lot of his time coaching jujitsu and teaching jujitsu, right? Gracie Baja, the Woodlands.
Yes.
And that seems to be his foremost passion in a lot of respects, but he seems most comfortable in a kickboxing fight. This is where and how he likes to fight. And I know he was a little bit self-critical in terms of the game plan, looking for a tight guard and straight punches, getting a little bit loopy and over the top. But hey, man, mission accomplished, right? I mean, biggest win of his career.
Easily. And again, that's the kind of name you want to have on your resume. And again, from here on out, Morono's going to get bigger fights. This was a huge win for him. Cerrone, to his credit, took a fight where he didn't have a whole lot to gain.
Yeah.
And this has got to be a tough one. If you're his manager, his coach, or of course, Donald Cerrone himself, this one's going to hurt.
So one thing that Alex Morono said to us in what was an extended fighter meeting last week, he said, one bonus is like 2.5 years of private jujitsu classes, right? Crazy to sort of think about it in those terms and in that context. And
Sure.
If Wikipedia is correct, Alex Morono won a performance of the night bonus, and it doesn't mean he's going to skip your jujitsu private in Texas next week. But
It's
it's
well
interesting,
deserved.
right? I mean, it's pretty cool when you put it in that type of context. That what a bonus singularly can mean to an athlete.
Absolutely. These guys, like Morono, they're professional martial artists. And the things that they do in between fights, like teaching or, whether it's doing seminars or things like that, that's how they make their money. And for him, now that becomes money that he can use for investment purposes as well, to bring other coaches in or bring other fighters in to go out and travel. So this is money that can really go a long way for him, or, put it in your savings. So for him, that's awesome. It's a huge win.
Donald Cerrone did an interview with Brett Okamoto after the fight, and he said, "I feel good, but if I don't perform good, maybe I'm sort of paraphrasing, but maybe need to start asking some of the difficult questions. I am not in the business of retiring fighters. And as nice a guy as you are, you're actually not afraid to retire fighters." Cerrone ain't going out on this, no. Right. Now, I think the question beckons, does he cut down to 56 for one more fight? Or does he strategically have a welterweight matchup? Because I think he believes 55 is his best weight class, but that was going to be a decision based upon a championship aspiration to go down and try to make a run. My suggestion would be a big fight at 70, headlining spot or otherwise, but I'm hopeful that he gets at least one more, because certainly with 23 UFC wins, he deserves it.
I agree. Listen, give him one more, just so he can kind of be the guy who is in control of his destiny a little bit, and to kind of have that in his mind as he trains and as he prepares, and with the hope that he gets a big name or some more money or something in this process of, being towards the end of his career. I think that Donald Cerrone will go down as one of the best fighters and one of the most exciting fighters, I think, in two weight classes, which is extremely impressive. Donald is a guy who has always gone out there and, given it his best and delivered some action-packed fights, again and again for several years, whether it's the WEC or the UFC. And is certainly a legend. And I think he deserves that praise, and, give him one more. But I do think he's at the point in his career where he suffered a lot of damage, and he's simply not the same guy he used to be. And I don't like seeing guys take more damage than is necessary. I would assume he's done well enough. He's made a lot of money in his career, over the course of his career, where, I think he can go and do other things or live off the money that he's earned. I would assume that.
Right.
And why not, man? He's got one or two kids now. Go off and ride your horse into the sunset, man.
I think it's just hard because, as he acknowledged repeatedly this fight week, this is the only way for him to scratch this type of itch. As crazy and fun as it is to jump out of a plane or ride ATVs, he can't simulate this activity. And by the way, he makes several $100,000, I would assume, to show. And with two kids, that is also pretty useful. But I think it's interesting too. a little insight into sort of fighter meetings. And I know a lot of people are talking about the fighter meetings of late, but 3 or 4 fights ago, Flo, Donald shows up to the fighter meeting. He's like, you guys know everything about me. Do I really need to go through this exercise? And I was like, get out of here, dude. You know, I'm not trying to, you know, I'll if you did some media, I'll go get that, whatever. But this time around, just 15 minutes of gold, man. I mean, everything, every word, we're sort of, you know, waiting on his every word. And obviously I think he's in a great place as a father, but he's very lucid and very self-aware. So I just think that mentally to be so locked in and focused and to get dusted in a round, it's a 2-1 favor. I mean, he's heartbroken, man. This is a real tough one for Cowboy.
Well, listen, I think that's fine. And if he still wants this, if he's still self-aware, change up the training, change up your style, change up something that is going to make you safer as a fighter in a lot of ways. And he can still be exciting, but as for defensively and his footwork, it needs to improve, and it hasn't improved in a long time. If he does that and he fixes that, hell yeah, Donald Cerrone could go right back in there and get very close to getting a belt, and maybe even get a belt if he works hard enough. So 100%, but things need to change.
Featured bout on the main card in the welterweight division, Neal Magny versus Jeff Neal. And there are a lot of layers to the Jeff Neal side of things. And it's a great time to bring on the head coach of Fortis MMA. How about that timing? The great Sayif Saud, my dear friend, is with us. Looking handsome as usual. Hat Club is here. What's up, my friend?
How you doing, guys?
We're doing well, man. And I appreciate you joining us because obviously this main card was loaded with a lot of your premier athletes. And I know this is sort of a tough Monday morning for you in some respects, but I want to start with the good if we could. And Alex Morono, and as he put it, I guess 2.5, 3 months ago, he kind of reached out to you and said, hey, if any of these 4 athletes in these 2 fights pull out, I want the slot. And you were able to get him the slot, obviously, against Donald Cowboy Cerrone, and you guys maximized it. What were your thoughts on that co-main event as long as it lasted, man?
I mean, it was kind of bittersweet for me. I think you know that Donald was a training partner of mine for a long time, and everybody loves Cowboy, right? Like, I mean, no one wants to see Cowboy fall, and it is the reality of where things are. But Alex, he said, hey, I want to fight one of these guys, and Alex is like a fan, so for him, it's part of like his martial arts journey, and like 10 people wanted to fight Donald, and he was lucky enough to get the fight. And I think he did exactly what he needed to do. I mean, he stayed on the boxing, he stayed on hands, and he didn't let Donald get his rhythm. And when Donald gets a rhythm, look at what he did to Ali Quinta, who went with Khabib for 5 rounds, So Donald is really dangerous, and we knew we had to jump on him early and stay on him. And, I saw him at the PI the day before. I said, don't try to wrestle Donald. He goes, I might try. It might not work. He said, but I might try. And he did. He came out and did that little knee tap thing that he does, because Donald on the floor, man, on top is a real problem. Nobody knows that. He's really, really talented there. So Alex really performed well, and I'm super happy for him. He called his shot, and he made it happen.
Sayif, obviously, having known Donald Cerrone so well, how difficult is that for you? I'm sure you've probably experienced that before, but how difficult is that for you to prepare one of your fighters to go against, a friend and former training partner?
Yeah, it was real difficult. And Kenny, the good part was it was such a short time period that I didn't have to think about it very much. It was only like 6 days or whatever. So, I really locked in with Alex, and we got it going. But after the fight was over, and he was like, somebody was like celebrating. I was like, Alex, like, shut the fuck up. No one wants to hear about it. And he was like, yes, sir. And Donald kind of looked at me and kind of went like, he kind of whispered like, thank you. It was just a real weird deal. And there's a lot of emotions involved for me in it. And I love Donald to death. We grew up together. I was there his first day at Jackson's. I was there,
Wow.
Yeah. We drove around together with no power steering in the truck for 1.5 years. And for my birthday, he got me a power steering pump from the junkyard. Shit like that, teammate shit. So it's like, and we were talking about that and laughing about it. And I want to see Donald go out on a high note. I want to see him get a win and retire. But, it's the fight business, and Morono handled his business for sure.
So we were talking about Neal Magny and Jeff Neal, or we're starting to before you came on. And man, this Jeff Neal Instagram post is crazy. And certainly he led with the praise of Neal Magny, as you know, the classy Jeff Neal would do. But vomiting and diarrhea for 3 days, almost pulled out of the fight, perhaps against his better judgment after replenishing his body after getting sick. He had to cut from 208 down to 171, 37 pounds in a week. And hey, man, like I saw him on the scale and, you know, obviously he didn't look great.
No.
He has so much respect from all the commentators in the fight game. I mean, dude, we had no idea what he was dealing with.
I mean, everybody can see the talent, right? I think Jeff is one of the best welterweights in the world. And ever since this sepsis thing, like, you know, he just hasn't been himself. And he's such a quiet guy. He never complains. He's not a drama queen. So you really don't know, you know, it's like, it's hard to get him to tell us what's going on because he's just, it's, you know, he's a fighter, you know, he never ever says anything, but you know, I mean, I got random people telling me. I had Sean and Hunter tell me. I mean, everybody can see it. He just doesn't have the same explosiveness and the same go that he had before. And you know, me and our strength coach and some of the other coaches have been studying, you know, what sepsis does and congestive heart failure. I mean, he was in ICU for 7 days, and I just think he needs a break. We're going to reset him. We're going to get him all the blood work. We're going to get him every single medical opinion that we can. All the best doctors that we have, we're going to round her up, get him going. Dr. D with the UFC. And yeah, I mean, the potential's there, man. It's not taking anything away from Neal Magny. I thought it was, you know, he did what he needed to do to win. I thought it was a close fight. I thought Jeff edged it out from the power and the damage and the cage control. He had him against the fence the whole time. But, you know, that doesn't matter. You know, in the bigger picture, it's like, honestly, Jeff should walk through a guy like that. You know, I mean, he should. And the old Jeff did. So, and credit to Neal and his team. I mean, they won the fight, but it's a bigger issue with Jeff. And I think I think that's what we're at. And we're going to take a step back and figure things out.
I mean, with respect to our guy, Bilal Muhammad, like go watch Jeff Neal against Bilal Muhammad back in the day, folks. Go to UFC Fight Pass. The dude's an absolute animal. So he's going to Hawaii. You're going to do all the blood work. And yeah, man, just shutting it the fuck down for a few months might be what the doctor, So that's good to hear. And obviously we're going to, on the other side, we'll have plenty of praise for Neal Magny and the volume, all the UFC welterweight accolades for him. But man, this Jeff Neal stuff is absolutely crazy for me to hear, right? Because I'm sitting there looking at him on the scale and just like the monster seems to have left the building, you know?
And I mean, it's a sad thing, right? Like everybody has this like sad attitude when it comes to it. Like, you know, no one's mad at him. I mean, I was not even disappointed at all because how do you get mad at one of your kids when you know he's going through that physically? You know, you can see it. And, you know, all of us are in our 40s, right? We're all in our 40s now. And, you know, your 100% is now like 70% of what it was or 80%, right? Like your new capacity top is just not what it was. And that's what I see in him and this kid in his prime. And his new capacity is just, it's 70 or 60 or 55% of it. And you can't compete in the top 10 against the Neal Magnys and all the rest, you know, great athletes with great conditioning, not being 100%. So we're going to do our due diligence and get this kid back and get him healthy. And that's my first priority is to make sure that he's healthy and that he's happy. And then fighting will come after that.
So Diego Ferreira and Gregor Gillespie, what a fight. Obviously, it was the fight of the night. And a lot of layers to this, too, as well, with the weight miss. But, man, when Gillespie was on that stool beginning of round 2, right? I mean, there was nobody racing the window to bet on that guy. You know, Dominic Cruz was, I think, communicating with the truck saying, dude, Gregor's about to get finished in this round. What were your thoughts on how that all played out?
Man, you know, I had some people, you know, messaging me and like, oh, you're just yelling at him and like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you know, give him some advice. He's one of the best black belts in the division. You think he doesn't know how to get up? What happened was Diego's weight cut ruined that fight. I mean, that weight cut, he took the fight on 3.5 weeks. He thought he could make it. He was 174 when he took the fight, which is totally in striking range. He checked in at the UFC, I think, at 170. He was 161 Thursday night. Everything was on lock. Man, he was just not sweating, you know, and I told him, shut it down. You know, he was shaking, and I had PI there. I had Clint there. I had Heather Linden there, monitoring his vitals. Like I take this shit seriously, man. I don't give a fuck about MMA or the UFC compared to my guys. I mean, these are my kids, you know, I love these fucking guys. And, no one understands the pain and the battles that go on behind the scenes. Obviously, Ken Flo does, and John, you do too, from being in the game. But there's so much shit happening before those guys step into that octagon.
Right.
And seeing him fuck up like that, I wanted to call the fight. And I even told Gregor, I said, look, I don't blame Gregor. I apologize to him. I said, look, missing weight is on our team. That's it. It doesn't matter. There's no excuse. But he was like, did he even try? I said, if you want to go in the back and see how fucking tired he is, go ahead. I said, if you don't want to fight, I said, no problem. Let's just call it. And he was like, no, I still want to fight. And I said, all right, well, and the PI, everyone was there. They saw what happened. He just stopped sweating. Right. So going into the second round, it's like, man, he dominated him in the first round. I mean, he had him panic wrestling and shooting for the legs. And I mean, the jiu-jitsu was on point. He ended on top in the mount. Yep. He was elbowing him and he was beating him in the stand-up. And Diego, gets stronger as the fight goes on. John, you've seen him in the second and the third round. That's when he usually breaks people. But his body gave out on him. And it's just a lesson to be learned, I mean, there's no way he stopped moving like that. And again, I'm not upset. I'm not mad at him. I'm not disappointed. This shit happens in this sport. And unfortunately, it happened to him in a big spot. And then he missed out on the bonus too, which is even worse.
Yeah. No, there are a lot of tricky things as far as this particular week was concerned for him. And Gregor did tell me he appreciated that you approached him in the back there with ample time. And that was part of the reason he accepted the fight. But May 2019, right? You guys had the Trinaldo fight go away at UFC 237. I'm not trying to put on my fucking journalist hat here, right? But that fight went away on weigh-in day because he was medically deemed unfit. Yeah. Anybody who 100%. Knows his career knows he's driving to you 7.5, 9 hours, whatever it is, from far Texas to you. And I don't know. I guess I'm just wondering if this gives you any forethought in terms of the weight class for Diego in the future.
Well, for him, he needs to, walking at 175, like that's a 55er. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And it's not like he's a ripped big guy, but everybody's different. And he's got to figure out the water thing, And I told him and I told Jeff, I'm not fighting either of them until we get the health thing straightened out. Because it's like watching these talented guys, lose fights that I think they should have won, because of their physical, ability or inability, I should say. It was really frustrating. And in the end of the day, everyone else's lives move on, but not theirs, right? Now these guys are coming off losses and they've got the depression. They've got to deal with the mindset of losing and all the other shit that comes with it. And Kenny understands that. I mean, it's nothing is worse than that.
And it could affect your career too. I mean, it's like one loss could send you in a different trajectory potentially. I think those guys 100%. Have, so much potential and they'll get another shot, but you never know in this game. It's crazy.
Yep.
And I will say most elite lightweights, they need 6 to 8 weeks, man, to hit that 55, and even if everything goes well, if the last day doesn't, it's a really tricky thing. Hey, before we let you go, this Uriah Hall captaincy. So if you had told me 3 years ago that Uriah Hall would come in a line with Fortis MMA and then become the captain of the goddamn team, I mean, it's an incredible story. I know he rises up the team. He lifted up his teammate Kennedy and Zechiku, and it seems like that was the impetus for the captaincy. What do you have for me on that, my friend?
Well, I mean, here's the deal. Like, everybody knows how talented Uriah is, right? But he's never really been put in that leadership role. I just feel like people kind of catered him for so long, right? Because he was so good. And man, if you could just get together mentally, and it's like, dude, Uriah's 36 years old. Like, you're a fucking grown up, and it's time to be a leader. And, ever since he came to the gym, I'm like, look, man, you fought the best of the best, like Robert Whitaker, Saucy. Like, I mean, you've done so much. Like, you need to start looking at yourself from a different lens and a different perspective and start seeing yourself as a veteran and as a leader. And I think ever since that's happened, I mean, he's on 4-fight win streak, the longest one of his career in the UFC. And I feel like owning that leadership has helped him grow as well for himself, and what happened was Kennedy's, a gigantic guy, and he usually cuts weight really well. And he was at 208 pounds, and he was looking at that hot box sauna, and he's like, I'm not getting back in there. He told me, he said, Coach, I got to listen to my inner voice. This is what he told me. I got to listen to my inner voice. Coach, I think it's not a good move. I go, Kennedy, if you're talking to me this way, this calmly and totally lucid, I said, you've made a mental decision that you don't want to get back in the sauna. And I said, and the problem is, I go, I go, this is a huge fight for you. I said, you're an underdog against this kid from City Kickboxing. He's a big prospect. Izzy was talking about him winning the title all week. And I said, you fucking miss weight and you go in there, even if you win, it's not going to look good. And I said, it's going to take away all the greatness. And I said, and potentially the bonus, which we saw just happen this weekend to our poor guy, Diego.
Right.
So I'm talking to him, and man, Phil Jackson said you only coach 7 years because after that, people stop listening. And there's some truth to that, right? I mean, you just got to know sometimes you got to let someone else run with the ball. And I could tell I was talking, but I could tell he wasn't really quite listening. I mean, he hadn't made up his mind. So I kind of stepped back, and here comes Uriah. And he looks at me and he goes, I think the time for talking is done. And I said, and I looked at him and he's like, Kennedy, you're going to fucking get up and you're going to get in the sauna. He's like, I'm going to come pick you up right now and I'm going to put you in the sauna. And he said, and this is going to happen. And Kennedy's like 6'5.5",
You're right.
and Uriah's like approaching him. And we had another guy with us. They were like approaching him really quietly and slowly, like walking up to him, right? To put their hands on him.
I love it.
And I'm just watching this shit. I'm like, man, I hope a fight doesn't break out right here. And so I'm just thinking about how I need to position myself if all these elite guys start going at each other. Right. I'm going to have to pull out the dad hand. And Kennedy's just like looking at him as he's getting closer and closer and closer to him. And Uriah put his hands on him and then he picked him up. Right. And Kennedy got up and then he walks him over and he sits him in the sauna and he sets it up and he sets it. And Kennedy just kind of like went quiet. And then Uriah completely stepped up. I mean, he got down to 206.6. He made the walk downstairs. Uriah's like, all right, man. And Kennedy's like, okay. Got back in the sauna, got to 206. We drive there, we're in the limo riding, and Kennedy looks at me and I said, man, you just went to a deep, dark place that you didn't want to go. And I said, tomorrow night, I said, when that comes again, I said, you're going to be ready. And sure as shit, he was ready. And, he took Allberg out. And right when we got done and he walked out, he looked at me and he looked at Uriah and he said, thanks, guys. He said, I could have done it without you. So that was kind of the moment for me. And I think I want to see Uriah go out on top. I think he's an amazing fighter, an amazing athlete. And this is probably the best run that he's had. And a couple more fights. I mean, who doesn't want to see him fight Izzy? It's not about,
oh, dude.
Everybody talks all this shit like, oh, yeah, well, Uriah, he's this, that. Like, shut the fuck up, man. Who doesn't want to see that guy and Izzy throw down? I mean, that should be entertaining as hell.
No doubt.
So if he can win a couple more fights, I think that's a fight people could get behind. I mean, Izzy fought Anderson, he fought Anderson, and there's the styles make the fights. Like, I know, I already know Uriah lost to Paulo Costa. Like, I already know all that shit, but man, people want to see great fights. I mean, that's why we're watching Nate Diaz fucking fighting Leon Edwards. He just lost his last fight.
So Israel is so dynamic, and there's very few people that can do what he does. Uriah is one of the few guys who's just as dynamic and physically capable as he is. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I completely
and I think
agree.
you might be one win away, whether it's a main event win, right? You get the right name in that top 3 or 4. You're one win away from a championship opportunity, especially given stylistically how that fight potentially could play out. All right, before I let you go, what's next on your calendar? You going away? You going away this weekend or what?
Oh man, come on! It's
of course you are. Wheels up.
The circus never ends, man. It's Houston this week. At least we're in Texas. We're staying home, and we got Matt Schnell. He's coming off a win with Tyson Nam, and he's been in the camp now for getting close to a year, and just a great kid. And he's fighting. He's fighting a kid, a replacement. He was fighting Alex Perez, who was that was going to be a dog fight. I got nothing but respect for Alex Perez. I think the kid's a fucking stud.
Yeah.
So Matt's ready, and we'll be in H-Town. You guys coming or what?
I will be there. Ken Flo's got actually a baby boy on the way. If you follow on Twitter, you know that. But yeah, so any day now, Ken Flo is going to be a family.
I'm on call.
So.
Yeah,
man, congratulations, dude. So you got now you got a little mini samurai coming. So all the expectations that are there. Ken Flo fought for the world title. What? 2 weight classes? One I can't remember. Right?
Two different weight classes.
So this
I have to establish my dominance early, Sayif. I got to make sure he knows who the man of the house is just straight away, first day. And then we put him to work after that, little by little. Yeah.
This kid's going to be a world champion, right?
That's right.
That would be nice.
Head coach Fortis MMA, Sayif Saud. If you're watching us, you saw his social media handles there. Hey, thanks for the extended time, my friend. I know you're a busy man, and look forward to shaking your hand and a big weekend, hopefully, for Matt Danger Schnell in Houston, brother. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck, Sayif. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
There he is, the man, Sayif Saud. What a guy, what a coach, the general. I mean, there's no doubt, like, if I were to really do this amateur MMA debut thing, he would be one of my first phone calls. Kenflo, no truth to the rumor that you're naming your son Jonathan, right? We're not doing that.
Well, you never know.
Never know.
Might be an Anik.
But if you are following Kenflo on Twitter, the tweet was, "Kid, any day now, what should I name my son?" So if you have suggestions for Kenflo, excuse me, I dropped my permanent maca. If you have suggestions for Kenflo as to what he should name his baby boy, it's at Kenny Florian on Twitter. Dude, how about Gregor Gillespie, okay? How about the heart, the cardiovascular base that allowed him to put himself back in this fight? So much respect for this athlete. And those who suggest that I overplayed his exhaustion on the broadcast, he's one of my best friends on the roster, okay? And as he said in his post-fight interview, he was fucking exhausted. I've never seen him that tired in my life. Mm-hmm. He probably can't remember being that tired in a physical setting, in a competitive setting that many times in his life, despite all of the wrestling matches and all the accolades. What a win for Gregor Gillespie, Ken Flo, fighting a guy who might have been 185 pounds on fight night.
Well, absolutely. Listen, I've heard from other guys that have trained with Gregor that he's an absolute beast and everything he does physically as far as running and all that stuff. And I would agree with you. We'd never seen him that tired. But it goes to show you, right, the importance of controlling your emotions and how much of a factor the emotional connection to what you're doing really matters, right? He was coming off, and he mentioned a lot of these things after the fight. He didn't have, Gregor Gillespie's a very confident guy. He wasn't so confident heading into this fight. I'm sure all the doubt, all the fear, all the exchanges he was losing in this fight to Diego Ferreira, because Ferreira was winning almost every single exchange in that first round. He ended on bottom, was getting pounded out, had his back was taken a couple times, and he was just losing that fight, okay? Not only did he continue to fight on and fight hard, he went right back into the Dragon's Den. He kept clinching. He kept taking him down. He's like, I know I'm losing these exchanges, but I believe in what I'm doing. This is my path to victory. And he kept doing it, and it fucking paid off.
Amazing.
That was unbelievable, man. Gregor Gillespie is a stud. And it was a tremendous win, and one of those wins that will also fuel him for future wins, to give him way more self-belief. And I think he'll be that much more calm and that much more confident as he moves forward now.
You nailed it as usual. And there are a lot of fighters who bail on the strategy. Alex Morono was talking about the Anthony Pettis fight. He found himself between strategy and wanting to kickbox, and no man's land killed him.
It's a dangerous place.
Felt like if he could stick to the strategy, eventually he could fatigue the other athlete, and a tremendous finish and a bonus. And he gets the 100K, obviously, because Diego Ferreira was not bonus eligible. And again, if you saw Gillespie's post-fight interview, he wanted to know himself whether or not he could still hang with this division's elite. And even though there were some compromising moments, I think the answer is an acute yes. And Gregor Gillespie gets a big win. Neil Magny, 18 UFC welterweight wins. I mean, what else can you say about Neil goddamn Magny? And we will have some other notes in the Ray Longo Minute on Carlston Harris and some of the other big winners. But breaking news, folks, this important PSA is brought to you by Manscaped.com. This is your pay app. So real quick, you all know how much I relied on my Lawnmower 3.0. But this 4.0, man, I'm telling you, next level when it comes to the craftsmanship, the detail, the amazing ceramic blade. Of course, skin-safe technology is still there, but it's so good it almost seems as if they work with like Elon Musk's engineers to ensure your testes are as safe as possible or something. 4.0 version had a job with Manscaped. All right, it is time to make some picks. Let's get to the main event challenge.
It's the main event challenge. Anik.
The time is most definitely now.
Florian.
I finish fights! I'm gonna do everything possible to win.
The main event challenge. The John Anik and Kenny Florian podcast.
All right, time to make some picks. It's a pay-per-view week, UFC 262, Oliveira versus Chandler, and we are now joined by Ian Parker. And I like this. Sayif Saud wore a hat. I know you always wear a hat, so I can always wear a hat on this program, right?
Yeah, it's funny, until people see me without the hat, they just assume I'm bald, and then I take the hat off. They're like, no, you got good hair, and I'm like, yeah, but it's just my thing. I just kind of like that security of wearing a hat. We can't all just come gelled up like Kenny with a picture behind him of him choking me out in my UFC debut. So
Right.
it's fun.
It's confidence, though, not security, right? Like people ask why I wear a mustache on TV. And I didn't wear it this weekend because Gregor Gillespie's girlfriend hates it. So out of respect to her, I did not wear it this weekend. But right, isn't it a confidence thing though, in some respects, right? I mean, I know when you do the PFL broadcast, you can't wear a hat, but security, confidence, you're more confident in a hat, and that's why you're rocking it on the Anik and Florian podcast.
It's like the alter ego. Yeah, with PFL, they make us wear like a jacket, a suit, no pants. So that's cool. You know,
At least for now.
Kenny stands. It's a belt, but there's really nothing underneath that. But other than that, you know, it's
Speedos always.
Yeah, Speedo, suit jacket, pocket square. I love that.
So 300 episodes, Ian. When did you first listen to our show? Do you remember?
The first one, obviously.
I mean, I was there on the pilot episode.
Yeah.
I was.
So, hey, so
from the Ultimate Fighter season 1, no way.
So you murked Kenflo this weekend, 6-1.
I did.
Our intern Casey Williams. You can start adding Ian and Kenny to the standings email. I think that might make for some interesting back and forth.
It was going great for me until it wasn't.
Well, right. Well, so here's the thing. So, and again, anytime sort of something like this, you know, I got people telling me like, oh, you know, that Magny wasn't even the co-main event. All these Team Florian people coming at me. Listen to this. All right.
Fine.
So the Neal Magny plus 160 by decision. Like if you listen to the show, you know, that's a 4-point play if it hits. Right. And I'm not taking those points away because it wasn't the co-main event. When we did our show, it was 6-1 for Team Anik. Do you live in Palm Beach County or are you in Broward County, Ian?
Broward.
Oh, because I was thinking we could change the name of this team if you keep kicking his ass like this to like the Palm Beach County Jew Club or something. But
dude,
you don't live in Palm Beach County.
Listen, I mean, we could do it anyway, or just call it the Jew Club.
Jeff Neal was sick. I got screwed on that. We got Fajeda kicking ass in round 1. Then all of a sudden he shits the bed in round 2. I mean, come on.
You know what's interesting, Ian, about the Jeff Neal thing? Because we just talked to Sayif Saud, and you know, we did sort of ask Jeff in our fighter meeting about the sepsis, and obviously he lied to us, and that's fine. But it seems like Sayif and those guys, like he didn't tell them what was going on either. Like it's incredible.
I mean, I got to be honest with you. Put all that stuff to the side. He's fought one time in a couple of years. He went 5 rounds with Wonder Boy. Then he's getting thrown into a fight with a cardio machine like Magny. And I said to you on the show, Magny doesn't usually lose 2 times in a row. And the fight we saw against Chiesa was not your normal Neal Magny. You know, it's with Jeff Neal. I just don't think he knows who he is when he's fighting top ranked guys. And Magny saw what happened against a guy like Chiesa. So he has to go back to his style. Look, Magny can wrestle. He's got that range and cardio, and that's what I was banking on. And I was right.
Well,
you know,
I mean,
Gillespie, that guy is some sort of different animal, though, because fighting Diego Fiano, whatever his name is, that was wild because I've never seen him so tired walking back to that stool after round 1. That was
interesting, though, because the fire was not in Magny's eyes on Fight Island against Michael Chiesa. You know, I'm sitting in the crowd that night as a fan, and I'm looking over there, and I would also submit to you, and perhaps I should have done this on broadcast, but I didn't think of it until I was back in my hotel room with Dominic Cruz when it came up. But Neal Magny fighting Chiesa in that 30-footer, fighting that 25-footer, you know, he'd come up on that fence pretty quickly. He loves that fence. All right, we got to make some picks. Might have to push Joey Osborne back 5 minutes. First fight for us in the featherweight division. Very curious to see on which side you guys fall here, Ian. Edson Jr. Barboza, -110. Hurricane Shane Burgos, -110. So Barboza last year moves down to featherweight. Split decision loss to Dan Ige, a fight many people thought he won. I thought Ige won the fight for the record. Then a great performance against Makwan Amir Khan. He gets the new contract. He says the UFC appreciates his work and his style. So do the three of us. Of course, one of my favorite fighters of all time. Ian, what do you have for us on Burgos and Barboza?
Oh, this is a really tough fight. Depends on what Shane Burgos comes to do because this guy likes to brawl instead of use his wrestling. And I think that's going to be what helps Barboza here. We've seen the path to victory against Burgos. You know, throw straight, don't get into brawls, use your range. And with Barboza's kicks, I just think that he's going to slow Burgos down, although he's a cardio freak. I'm leaning Barboza. I don't love the pick right now just because of how insane Burgos really is with cardio, but we've seen him get kind of careless. And if you get careless against Barboza, not going to work out well. So I'm going to go with Edson here.
I would expect the sharps to be on Barboza here. I'm very curious to see where this line closes. Burgos is the man, Kenny. I mean, married to the game doesn't even begin to describe it. Only loss for him really at all of late was his last fight. Epic fight of the year candidate against Josh Emmett. That was in June. So he's had what amounts to almost a year off. Kenny, what do you think about Burgos here in this spot against Edson Jr. Barboza?
Yeah, I think that early on against Emmett, he did a good job of establishing his range. He was getting the better from the outside. I think that ultimately Emmett obviously had a ton of power, was landing some big shots repeatedly. I think that Edson Barboza can match the height and length of Burgos here. I think he'll still be the faster guy. Barboza kind of struggles a little bit with his footwork when he gets pressured going backwards a little bit, but I think he'll be in good shape here against Burgos. I think if he could lead the dance a little bit more and kind of play more of the predator than kind of just moving back, I think he'll be in a better position to win that fight. Burgos is very tough. He does have some different weapons and is game as always. But I like Barboza here as well.
I know I'm mismanaging the clock a little bit today, but in terms of the main event challenge punishment, real quick, I was thinking we could have Ken Flo shave his head. But the problem with that is that reciprocally, if you said, Ian, if we lose, that I have to grow my hair and you have to shave your head, I know you'd shave your head because you're just game. But like if you told me I had to grow my hair for like 3 months as punishment for losing the main event challenge, I'd rather drink a bottle of chilled soy sauce. There's no way that's something that somebody had to do fraternity hazing wise. My younger brother, God bless him. But I'm not growing my hair as punishment. I'd rather do almost anything else.
Well, John, can I interject here?
Yeah, go ahead, Cody.
As a fan of this program, and we're on our 300th episode here, really historic thing in MMA. We're not really the best at, doing these challenges or like punishments.
I agree.
As somebody who owes a punishment, so that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Kenny. Before we get to Ian's take on this, would you shave your head if you lose or no?
Absolutely not.
Right. It's kids on television. No goddamn way.
We would lose so many fans, too. Because how many just tune in for the hair alone? I'd say 30 to 40%.
A lot. Ian, what do you have for me on that?
Well, if Kenny shaved his head, it'd look really weird sitting next to Randy on TV. You'd have hair bald. It looked like an ass just on TV combined. It'd be really weird. I can't shave my head.
I already look like an ass on TV.
Nah, bro, you did great. My nose does not play the role of a shaved head at all. Have you seen this thing? The more I'm on this and TV, I notice
exactly. It's my issue too.
I mean, dude, this thing is like really. You would think I fought as much as Kenny the way my ears and nose look. It's terrible.
All right, I guess we'll come up with a different.
We're not going to lose, so I'm not really worried.
Oh man.
I really want to find something that Kenny will hate that won't like be bad. Like he'll have to wear like a duck outfit for at least like all pay-per-view events on the show or something like that. Have to tweet. I love my best friend Ian Parker at least.
We'll figure something out. We'll figure something out.
We're gonna invent duck coin.
Just don't make it a follow on Instagram, and we'll be okay.
Because that's not happening.
Right. I don't want it anymore.
It's at flyweight, Caitlin Chukagian -140, Viviane Araujo +120. So Chukagian, I thought Ian looked great in November, win over Cynthia Calvillo. Araujo's won 2 in a row. She beat Roxy Modafferi earlier this year. What do you have for us on this one in the women's flyweight division?
Interesting fight. I think Chukagian here gets it done. I think just she presents a lot of problems with her height and her range, and I think she knows how to really use it well against a shorter opponent. And I think Vivian fights similar to Cynthia, although a little bit of a better striker. I think she's gonna have issues getting in tight, so I'm gonna go with Chukagian here.
Ken Flo, Chukagian, Araujo. Who do you have?
Yeah, listen, I think for Araujo, she would have the advantage if she's able to take her down and get on top. I think that's where she can win this fight. I just don't think she's going to be able to do it. I think that, like Ian said, I think the range is going to be a problem, especially, if Chukagian's at the top of her game. If it's Chukagian that is out there, sharp, moving, preventing the takedown, scoring some takedowns maybe late in the rounds, I think Chukagian's going to win this fight, and I have to agree with Ian.
All right, Ken Flo is going to lead us on the co-main event and the main event today because I'm a total dick. But I'm giving you time because we still have a featured bout here that Ian's going to lead on. So there's your warning that you're leading us on Benny Dariush, Ferguson, and Chandler Oliveira. But at middleweight, Ian, what do you have for us on Jack Hermanson -160 versus Edmund Shabazian +140?
Very, very hard fight to cap here. You know, we don't know which Edmund Shabazian we're going to get after that last loss. He's been out for a while. You know, and, you know, obviously we saw him controlled by Derek against the cage. Jack might present a lot of problems. You know, if Jack's smart, he bull rushes him, puts him against the cage and brings him down real quick. I'm hoping Shabazian is working on that, but I just can't rely on that knockout power getting done so quick. Jack's experience, he's fought the best of the best. You know, when you get your first loss, it's so hard to judge how these young guys come back so quickly. So I have to think that the fight IQ of Hermanson gets it done. I think Kenny might be licking his chops here at a value plan, Shabazian striking. So maybe, but again, Sue is in Kenny's blood. I'm going to go with Jack here.
Ian referenced that Shabazian loss, his first pro loss at a main event against Derek Brunson. That was back on August 1st of last year. Kenny, Hermanson off a main event loss, but literally as spirited a performance in defeat in my mind against Marvin Vettori as I've seen in a long time. Like, I would just tell you, I'm calling the fight, but like, there's no way I would walk to a window and bet against Jack Hermanson after that display of heart and desire. Like, he just wants it so badly. Y'all know how I feel about Edmund Shabazian. I anointed him on the Adesanya level and ate crow and all that. I'm just saying, Jack Hermanson, so desirous of MMA and UFC glory that I just wouldn't be fading the guy. What do you have for us on this one at 85, kid?
I tell you what, I would agree with a lot of that. A lot of what both of you guys said. Hermanson, I think, is as tough as they come. I think where he falls short and why I don't see him perhaps, you know, getting a belt in the UFC, right, which is difficult for anyone, no matter what. I think his athleticism just falls short from some of the elite guys. And I certainly think it does so here against Shabazian. And what I mean by athleticism, just to be clear, is just the way that he moves his body. He's a little robotic with his striking. He's a little stiff. You know, it hasn't quite picked up the striking. It's gotten better, but he's not going to be at the level of a Shabazian, right? He'll never be an Adesanya from what I can tell. But he's tough as nails. He makes up for it with heart. He makes up for it for conditioning. You know, he'll keep moving forward. But I think that this, like, probably the first 8 minutes is going to be most dangerous for him. That's where Shabazian can really take advantage. I'm going to take that bet. I'm actually going to go with Shabazian here. But as you guys said, I mean, not a whole lot of people go out there and finish Hermanson. Hermanson has a chin from hell, but I'm going to take that gamble because I need some motherfucking points.
Well, and I hear you in terms of the plus athlete and the athleticism and the way these athletes move their body. It's always fascinating for me to see a UFC fighter shoot a basketball, right? Go watch Cyril Gane on a goddamn basketball court. Fucking eat your ass. That didn't sound great. Sorry for you children.
That is John.
I don't want any part of that game, John. That sounds like a weird game.
Seeing some of these athletes like on a golf course, you know what I mean? Like, that's intel.
John, that is
the way he swings his club.
The ultimate test of any athlete, you see them shoot a basketball. So if there's a hockey player that could do a layup and not look like he's a 3-year-old, he's an athlete. Some of these guys,
true. Exactly.
I mean, if you go watch some of these pickup basketball games that are floating around the internet from Fight Island or whatever they were doing, some of these guys look like they're literally right-handers playing lefty. It's hilarious. It's true, though. It's a great test.
Playing golf with Daniel Cormier, out driving the kid by 150 yards. Like, what's going on? All right, co-main event, Beneil Dariush, minus 145. Tony Ferguson, plus 125. Kenny, we'll need the round, the method of victory, all that stuff. So Dariush beat Diego Fajeda. That was a fight of the night back in early February of this year. Ferguson has lost 2 in a row since his historic 12-fight UFC lightweight winning streak. Who do you have in the co-main event, Ken Flo, and how do they get it done?
Jeez, this is an interesting one. I think to a certain extent, both guys are very similar on the feet. Dariush is kind of believing in his chin almost too much in some ways. He is taking some big shots. That concerns me here against a guy like Tony Ferguson who will throw anything and everything at you. So he's got to be careful there. Ferguson is so tough. But I do think Beneil is also smart in some ways that he's going to see what that blueprint was for Charles Oliveira. And he's going to go, you know what? I see a vulnerability on the ground. Dariush has vastly improved his takedowns, his wrestling. I think he's going to go that route. He's going to trade when he needs to. He's going to pressure Tony Ferguson. He's going to back him up. He's going to take him down. And he's going to try to do the exact same thing that Charles Oliveira did. Now, can he do that? Yes, I believe he can. Beneil Dariush is a high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He's very good, particularly when he's in that top position. I think he'll be able to do that and either get a TKO or a submission. You need a round and you need a finish, right?
I do.
You need let's go. Yeah, let's go round 2, TKO.
Round 2 TKO for Beneil Dariush is the pick for Ken Flo. Ian, talk to me.
Yeah, I don't respectfully disagree with Kenny on this one. I'm going to go Tony. Well, number one, I'm going to say this.
Love it.
I'm going to say this.
Love it.
Tony doesn't get finished very easily. And, with Beneil, one thing I agree with Kenny is that he's getting very, very trusting in his hands and his chin. Not that I'm thinking Tony's going in there and knocking him out. I just have a hard time seeing Tony losing 3 in a row, getting dominated 3 times in a row. I mean, let's be real here. Beneil Dariush may be a high-level black belt. He's no Charles Oliveira on the ground. At least that I've seen, even on top.
What has Charles Oliveira won in jiu-jitsu? Just curious.
I'm talking about MMA. I'm not talking about anything else outside of that. I think there's
you can't say Beneil Dariush is not a Charles Oliveira, though, in my opinion. I mean, he hasn't submitted him as much. He doesn't have as many submissions as, say, Charles Oliveira. But I think Dariush is certainly a high level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
There's no question
for his division, for sure.
Yeah, no, look, there's no question he's a high-level black belt. I'm just speaking specifically in their MMA careers, their styles. Beneil has not used his jiu-jitsu as much. He's tried to be a striker first, wrestler second, jiu-jitsu third, as opposed to Oliveira, who's been now using his range to set up his jiu-jitsu. Do I think that if you went outside of the realm of MMA, would they both, you want to talk straight jiu-jitsu? Very similar levels. I agree with you there. But strictly in their UFC careers, I just think Oliveira has been more dominant in his jiu-jitsu game than Dariush just because of the style. Do I think that, and when you want to talk striking, I think Dariush has the better striking than Oliveira, carries the power better than Oliveira, and he's way more unpredictable. I'm hoping, maybe this is more of a hope than a thing. I love Beneil Dariush. I think he's a very bright prospect. I think we're past that point, but he hasn't fought anyone at this level yet. And I just think Tony has to go in there, and I think he has to get on top. I think he has to turn this into a technical striking match. And I'm taking a shot here. I'm not overly confident, but Tony Ferguson, these dog odds against a guy like Dariush, I'm going to go Tony here. But Kenny, I think you might be right with the pick. Tony Ferguson by decision. Sorry.
All right, main event for the vacant UFC lightweight title. Charles Oliveira, the -130 betting favorite right now. Michael Chandler is +110. Kenny will need the round and the method of victory. Would it not be something if the Houston, Texas-based Brazilian, Charles Oliveira, after making his UFC debut in 2010 at 21 years of age, right? Most decorated submission artist in UFC history, at least as far as the record books are concerned. What a story it would be, Kenny, if he could break through in his American now hometown and become the undisputed UFC lightweight champion. When I think about the body of work and all the early fights of his that you and I worked and the adversity and the injury in the Max Holloway main event and the different weight classes, I know there's a Chandler side of this. But if Charles Oliveira can add an undisputed UFC lightweight championship to his legacy, UFC Hall of Famer for me. What are your thoughts on what's in front of the Brazilian Charles Do Bronx Oliveira this weekend, Kenny, and ultimately who wins the fight?
Listen, I think it's amazing what Charles Oliveira has done. When you look at who he was to who he is now, it's completely different. Everything has gotten better, from his striking to wrestling to his jiu-jitsu. Everything is much, much sharper. And I think he understands that, which is maybe the most important ingredient in all of that. He believes in his style, and he believes in what he's trying to do out there when he goes out to fight. And I think that all of that experience that he has had in the UFC, and people are knocking his record, and he hasn't beaten this guy, he hasn't beaten that, but he's been learning throughout that process, and he's getting W's throughout that process for the most part. And I think that really counts for something. And I do think he's facing a tough stylistic matchup though in Michael Chandler. I think that Chandler has the wrestling skills to prevent the takedowns from it even going down to the ground. And I think that, if we were to judge both guys on speed and power, I think that we would agree that Chandler is probably the faster and more powerful guy. Now, can he go out there and do that against an Oliveira who has some nice long-range weapons? I think he can. I think it's going to take him a little bit of time to get into that range. But I think he can do enough to perhaps frustrate Oliveira, to get on the inside, to back up Oliveira, to take away those kicks, and to kind of have a similar game plan to what he did here against Dan Hangman Hooker. So I think that I like Chandler here. I think Chandler gets, let's go with a fourth round TKO, Michael Chandler.
Michael Chandler, fourth round TKO. Our executive producer, Cody Merrow, is a huge Chandler fan, and Cody will be celebrating his 28th birthday in my seats in the building in Houston, Texas at UFC 262. I've never even met the kid, so he probably is enjoying that prediction there. Ian, poll results, AnikFlorianPod. About 3,000 votes, 54% for Michael Chandler at plus 110. Ken Flo falls on that side as well. What do you think about the main event?
I'm going to piggyback with Kenny here. So the one thing that we have seen with Oliveira in any of his losses, you take the fight to him, he kind of folds and quits. He doesn't like body shots. As much as he is good at being on bottom, when there's a guy on top who can just get that, just go into even half a side mount, even a little bit, get that leg out of full guard. And Oliveira, he gets punched a lot on the bottom. You know, he almost accepts too much damage in order to get the submissions. And Chandler is just such a powerhouse. You know, I think to Kenny's point, this was the one person that I would have not, if I was Oliveira, not wanted to fight in this position. Talk about a guy who's short and stocky. Oliveira is not getting a double leg takedown or a single leg on him. If he gets into the ground or on top, it's going to be somehow against the cage where he's going to get on Chandler's back. That's the only way I see that happening in the first round before they get slippery. Chandler is just going to bring too much pressure, too much aggressiveness, the body shots. You know, he's going to be able to get in tight. If Oliveira can work that clinch game, the issue you'll find there is I think Chandler is savvy enough in the wrestling game to get a lift and slam him in that situation, which again, Oliveira does not like to be slammed either. I like Chandler here. I don't think it gets to round 4 if Chandler does win. I'm going to even go out on the limb and say if he gets it done, he gets it done in round 1 or 2. Oh, you know what? I'm going to take a stab at this. I'm going to say round 1 TKO for Michael Chandler. He's going to come out the gate hot, confidence building, and that power in that division. Outside of Justin Gaethje, I don't know who else really carries it with that one punch. So I'm going to go Chandler by TKO round 1.
All right, both our guys like Michael Chandler to become the undisputed UFC lightweight champion. On social media, you can find Ian at Ian Parker MMA. My man, good to hear your voice and see your face. We will talk to you next week.
Too. You got it, guys.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, Ian.
All right, there he is, Ian Parker, with us for the main event challenge. And we do have more handicapping to come on UFC 262 in the form of the Pick to Click. OddsShark, your source for the latest odds from leading authorities, expert editorial content, and detailed matchup picks with expert in-depth analysis for each game. Their free statistics, numbers, and trends will help you make the sharp picks on game day. Head over to OddsShark and start playing like a shark today. That's OddsShark.com. Don't forget the second S. Let's get to the Pick to Click.
Time now for the Pick to Click. The Pick to Click.
All I have to do is bet on the winner, and I'll never lose.
The John Anik and Kenny Florian Podcast.
All right, now with us from Team OddsShark. I was on Team OddsShark actually at one point in time in the Las Vegas Super Contest. Hopefully at some point in the distant future, we're on Team OddsShark again. But he is sports betting analyst Joe Osborne, and I just like this dude's energy, man. I'm not going to lie, especially during a pay-per-view week. Joe, before we get to your main event selection,
sure.
This main card opener, I expect to draw a lot of action and two-way action, potentially. Fascinating featherweight matchup. Edson Barboza, Shane Burgos. Pick'em fight essentially right now. And as I understand it, you are going to have a ticket on this fight, yes?
Yeah, this is my favorite bet on the whole card, and it is on Edson Barboza. He is a underdog at a lot of books, a small one, plus 105 at some spots. And I think the wrong man is favored here. I like Barboza quite a bit. I think he's looked great at featherweight so far. I do think he got screwed in the Ige fight a little bit. You know, of course I bet on him, so I got screwed as well. But he was on the wrong end of a split decision. But either way, you know, he comes out and he follows that up with the W. So I do think he's looked fantastic at this weight class. Then we look at Shane Burgos. He's coming off a very violent loss, isn't he? The thud on some of those punches that he took against Josh Emmett, you know, it wasn't very pretty. You know, he had some bright spots in that fight as well, but he came off in that fight as maybe a little defensively challenged. Now he's going into this fight and he's expected to rebound. against what very well could be the best striker that he will face up until this point of his career. So I like Barbosa quite a bit there, plus 105. I think that's an incredible spot.
And I am a big fan, I guess as big a fan as any Bostonian can be of a New Yorker, right? So I'm a big Shane Burgos fan, but when I do my predictive measures for the lines, I had Barbosa minus 160 and Burgos plus 140. So certainly I was a bit surprised to see, I mean, Kenny, in terms of the experience, I don't know. I just feel like that maybe hasn't necessarily been factored in, but
for sure.
We'll see. All right. So Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler, Joe. Minus 130 I saw on Charles Oliveira, plus 110 on Michael Chandler, but you might have a different number. Both of our guys, Ken Flo and Ian Parker, do like Michael Chandler in the role of road underdog here, with Oliveira being the Houston-based guy. What do you think about the main event, and where does your action fall?
Yeah, I like the way this line's moving. You know, Oliveira opened at around minus 160 down to around minus 125. So sadly, I got to disagree with the fellas, and I think disagree with the poll as well. I think the poll was on Chandler's side there. Right. So I like Oliveira quite a bit. So prior to the Ferguson fight, I came on and I picked Oliveira as an underdog. And I said, at this point of his career, I think he is at the perfect intersection of experience and ability. And he comes out and he made me look pretty damn good in that fight, didn't he? Let's not sugarcoat it. He absolutely dominated Tony Ferguson. And I don't have to come on and read off his resume. I will a little bit, though. And one thing that I find funny about Oliveira is he has almost as many fights in the UFC as he does years on this planet, right? So he's truly a guy that is putting it all together right now. You know, he did make a lot of mistakes early in his career and some ugly losses, and he's absolutely learning from those. So I do think he is the more well-rounded fighter, and I do think he does have more paths to victory. As for Chandler, not a whole lot of negatives, really. You know, you look at that debut versus Dan Hooker. I don't think Hooker looked especially sharp, but that's not Chandler's fault. He took full advantage of that, right? So not a whole lot of negatives there. I think the odds are right on this one. It should be a close fight. I do like Oliveira. One thing that I really do want to point out here for a couple different reasons, and it's the importance of Oliveira getting out of that first round, because we take a look at Chandler, 17 finishes in his career. 13 of those occurred in the first round of the fight. So I very much think we have these fighters like the Francis Ngannou's, the Conor McGregor's, and when people are breaking down the fights, the opinion is, well, if you can get out of the first round with that guy, your chances of winning that fight are going to improve dramatically. I absolutely think you have to put Chandler in that same category as those guys. So it's going to be very important for Oliveira to survive the first round. And I do have a hard time also seeing this one going to decision, right? Both of these guys are finishers. So I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't seen odds out for a prop yet. Oliveira by submission, maybe. I wouldn't be shocked to see it. But I'm just going to play it safe and take him as the minus 125 favorite in this one. And it should be a great fight. I'm pretty pumped for it.
I think we get a finish. And as you alluded to, that price on Oliveira apparently continues to get better. So my twin brother basically rides everything that you're throwing out there, and he's not paying for your selection. So if somebody, I know we got at JTFOZ on Twitter, at Paper Chaser Joe on Instagram, if somebody wants to get your free selections on a day-to-day basis, how do they go about doing that?
Everything's on Twitter, man, whether it's a link to the YouTube show or sometimes I work Monday through Friday, right? So just on weekends, I'll just post a couple of my picks throughout the day. Right now, it's every day Major League Baseball. That's my main sport. NBA playoffs coming right up. Of course, UFC stuff. I dabble in NASCAR from time to time. During the pandemic, when the only things going on was UFC and NASCAR, I was betting on NASCAR every weekend. I actually grew a bit of an appreciation for the sport. So find me. All my work is on Twitter, JTFOZ, whether it be just easy picks or a link to a YouTube video or over to my Instagram even.
I love it, my man. Hey, I bet NASCAR, but I don't watch it until the final several laps, you know?
Well, that's it, right? Like you track it on your phone and then you go and you'll watch like the final stage of the race or whatever. And NASCAR is kind of like golf, right? People aren't tuning in here for NASCAR betting advice. But, you know, and golf, you know, most people think you just pick the outright winner. If you're going to bet NASCAR, bet top fives, top tens, you know, head-to-head, stuff like that. And you have give yourself a little bit more skin in the game if you're looking for some NASCAR advice there.
Ken Flo is probably betting F1 all day.
Oh,
just
of course.
keeping his mouth shut over there. All right, Joe Osborne, great to talk to you, buddy. Enjoy UFC 262, and we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks, my man.
Great, guys. Thanks again for having me. Good luck to you, and good luck to all the listeners out there.
Thank you, my man. There he is, Joe Osborne at JTFOZ. On DraftKings Sportsbook right now, largest underdog at UFC 262, Gina Mazzani. So a lot of these lines are very close, and that is a nod to the executives, Dana White and the matchmakers, that UFC 262 appears to be well matched. So the star of the show is Ray Longo, and we have buried him at the bottom of our 300th episode. There is a reason for doing that, but we're not going to make him wait anymore. Let's get to Ray.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
It's now time for the Ray Longo Minute.
I want you to punch a hole in his fucking chest. That's what I want.
The Ray Longo Minute. Starring Ray Longo. The John Anik and Kenny Florian podcast.
There he is.
3 minutes.
Raymond.
How we doing?
Peter Longo.
Shit.
How are you?
Jim, good.
Are you offended by the Red Sox hat?
Definitely not.
All right, we're speeding, so don't say anything outrageous. It's nice to see you. What do you think about this 12:30 p.m. Eastern call time today? We've been asking for you a little bit earlier. You like doing it a little bit later? What?
This was good. It's just I have to do it at the gym because I start teaching at like 1. So, but now my 1 canceled, so I'm good for whenever you guys want.
Okay, well, I'm glad your 1 p.m. canceled. And by the way, Ken Flo's got a new studio. You see that picture of him choking out Clay Guida behind him?
I love it. Love it.
So you're telling me that, look what the cat dragged in today.
Hey. Wait, guys.
What's going on, guys?
Did he clip his toenails?
Could you hear me or no?
Loud.
We can hear you.
We could hear you even if you didn't have a mic.
I wanna thank my buddy Ray Long. I'm not on Twitter, but he sent me last night. I don't know when the fuck. To him, it's probably like mid-afternoon. I think I probably got it like 2:30 in the morning. A picture from Twitter of my fucking toenails. And let me tell you something. They were fucking long and disgusting. So this morning, when Longo was sleeping around like 8 a.m., I was in my steam shower at Sarah Beach. I said, wake up, Longo.
Oh, my God.
I'm almost done with the story.
Hey, this ain't going to be a fucking commercial for your fucking school. Can he get you a jiu-jitsu school in there?
I cut my toenails this morning.
And left them in the steam shower, I'm sure.
It's my fucking steam shower. Do whatever the fuck I want.
Exactly.
Yes, name's on the building. Name's on the building.
Put them in an envelope and send them to Ray.
That's the disgusting shit that goes down in that steam shower. But anyway, guys, the 300 show, we made it.
How about that? Well, you guys could probably.
I want to know whose idea this was. Seriously, you're fired, whoever it was.
All right, we'll tell you after the fact. Hey, Maddie, your beard looks good. I haven't seen your beard that long. Is it a little auburn in that beard?
Is am I like Paul Felder? No, but how am I looking? I think I'm shiny right now.
But the beard. I don't know that I've ever seen you with that much face.
It's the lighting.
Well, listen. The thing is this. I don't have anything to work with up top. I
right.
That angle right there. The downward angle's not bad. But hey, listen. Speaking of fucking melons, Longo. I don't know who talked to you. Was it Velma? Was it your wife? Your kids? You're looking so much better, buddy. Got rid of that fucking mop. You were looking like, dude. You walk in the door. He's got his hair down to his shoulders, a toothpick in his mouth with a banjo, like a fucking goofball Willie Nelson. I'm like, Kenny, I thought he was losing his fucking mind. Oh, I'm sorry. He's right there. What? I'm taking you a minute.
Oh, my God.
A minute.
Hey, Maddie. So,
and you guys are liking this. This is what you want.
So Matt has a very busy schedule, right? He's at the gym. But he needed a nap. He needs a nap. So we allowed him to have his daily nap so he'd be fired on all cylinders, which he obviously is.
No, he did his 5-hour energy and
my wife
smoked the ganja.
So I had in my Avengers mug.
There he is. Oh,
what's the matter?
I live Longo. I live this shit. I'm happy you cut your hair though, bro.
So I know you both are up against the clock a little bit with all your privates and your teaching and everything else.
Get rid of me, bro. I got something.
I'm not trying to get rid of you. I'm not trying to get rid of you at all. I think I have 23 minutes with you.
Well, John, you can't disguise it with him. You just got to throw him off. Come on.
So,
you're trying to be diplomatic.
Hey, Matt.
We know you got a busy schedule, Matt, so we'll talk to you later. No.
You're not stealing this shit, Longo. It might be your minute, but what do we got?
So, Matt, you and I had the chance to spend a lot of time together on Fight Island at airports. Like, dude, that W Hotel and Yaz Island is such an intoxicating place. Like, are you having withdrawals like I am? Like, I'm trying to get back to Fight Island right now. Am I alone in that?
All I know is I love this buffer, but every time I'm at that airport with him lately, I'm trying to avoid him. I'm hiding. I'm gonna hear about 10 more people that died of corona. I go, fuck, hiccup, bro. I normally love to see him, but I see him coming over with the fucking bell. Oh fuck. You hear about Zito? I don't want to hear nothing. I go, listen. I go, Longo fucking survived it. Okay? I go, Longo survived it, Bruce. Let me see your reps. I go,
so is Bruce
your reps? Never mind.
Is Bruce scared of the corona still or what?
Who, Bruce? Johnny sees him more than I do. I don't see him.
Well, he's very diligent about the masks, and I think anybody who has lost respect for I've lost a little respect for the virus, right? Meaning that I've let my guard down a little bit. He has not. So, you know,
but he still gives the pound. He still gives the pound in the octagon and stuff, though.
That's true. Right?
But I'll tell you, but he still goes to the show, so it means if he's that guy, he's powering through that. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I know guys that never came out of the house and now they're vaccinated. They want to come back to gym and they're actually asking me if I'm vaccinated. Like, I go, well, isn't that a little crazy though? Like, it's just they're taking it to another level, man. It really is. I think that's crazy. You got to respect it, and I think Bruce did respect it because he was going to the show.
Oh yeah,
that's crazy right there. Just going to the airport, so that'd be horrifying if he's that guy, you know.
Yeah,
Bruce Buffer's check respects it.
Here's the thing, and I don't want to talk about COVID-19, but I will say, like, my younger brother is high risk because he had open heart surgery not all that long ago. And so there was a little, I think, post-traumatic stuff going on there. But, like, he's now vaccinated. And yesterday I saw on Mother's Day, he hugged my mom for the first time in a year, you know, and without a mask on, you know, and that was nice to see. Anyway, Maddie, so I got to ask, man, when you're watching that Chris Weidman thing play out, I mean.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I missed a promo cue. Like, I fucked up on the broadcast thereafter, right? And I'm not nearly as close to this individual as you guys are, but I couldn't get my shit together. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it was, you know, listen, it's hard to watch if it's anybody, but it's worse if it's somebody you actually know and care about, and you know his parents and his kids, and it's like, oh my, you don't want to see that happen to anybody. You know what I mean? So for that to happen to a friend, it's just the only thing that makes me feel like better, like, I mean, is that he's been through the absolute worst. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm not saying he's got an easy path whatsoever. I know he's got a long road ahead, and you know, you don't wish this on your worst enemy. You know what I mean? But you know the absolute worst is over. You know?
No, you're right. That's a good way to look at it. And he's out the other side of the surgery. Ray, when did you first meet Matt?
Man, I mean, I first met him at my school, but I really first met him at jiu-jitsu in the city at Oishi Dojo. But he had taken a buddy of his in who, you know, was having some trouble. And I always tell this story. I think it speaks to volumes of the type of guy Matt was. He was probably 17 or 18, I think, right? 18 years old. He brought his friend in. He was having trouble with drugs, and you know, he wanted to get him into a school. He thought martial arts would be great for him. So he came down to the school. And I distinctly remember. I remember talking to him because I had started jiu-jitsu already. And I think he was just doing seminars, right? Was that it?
Get this, Longo.
We talked about I think he thought I was bullshitting him about the jiu-jitsu because Kukak was already in Manhattan, I believe. Is that correct or no?
Kukak wasn't there yet. No.
When you had Chiodo in the school.
He was going to be there soon, or he was there. I don't know. No, not when I was 17. No, he wasn't there when I was 17. That was later on. I met you down there. But Longo, a little fun fact. When I met Longo down at that place, at his Judo place, the kickboxing gym. He had his arm in a sling from a sparring incident. Where? Let me tell you this. He in the sparring, the arm got dislocated. He went through the sparring. He didn't stop the sparring. Can I just say that, Kenny, Longo, you know I hate to give you compliments, but right or wrong.
That's
Right
a true story.
I love it.
And a broken nose that I reset myself.
See, you're as hard as Merab.
It wasn't a good day. Oh yeah, no, nobody even knew. I walked out of that boxing gym without nobody even knew anything was wrong with me. I went right to the hospital. I had the guys drive me right to the hospital, and there was a guy in the he was the parking guy, but he said he was in med school or something. He looked at me, goes, "You got to get to a hospital quick." And then,
how old were you back then, Ray?
I was at that point 36, 35.
And Matt, how old were you?
Oh, he was.
I was 17.
How old were you, Matt? Yeah, 18, 19.
Wow.
No, listen, Kenny. You know what's funny? So I tell everybody, don't say anything to my wife, to anybody, right? So I'm in the emergency room. Here comes my mother walking through the door. I want to kill someone. When are you going to stop and grow up? You know, I'm like 36 with my arm. We don't even know it's out of the side. I don't even know what's wrong yet. I just can't move my arms. It's been out for like 4 hours.
Oh,
and I was like, who the fuck told? I mean, like, are you? And this guy Mario, I wanted to kill him. He told everybody. One by one, they started walking into the emergency room. It was crazy, but it was fun times.
Matt, are you there, kid?
Oh, I think he's frozen. Oh,
yeah, he looks stoned in that shot right there. So, Ray, what I was going to ask him, I have a few somewhat serious questions, but Sergio Pettis broke through and won a championship over the weekend,
unreal.
Right? Now, his teammate, Rafion Stotts, I believe, is also in that promotion and division, if I'm not mistaken, and said he would only fight him for the title. I'm curious for the two of you guys, if Merab and Aljo were the best two guys in the world, maybe they wouldn't fight each other, right? But would you let them fight, Ray? Would you let those two guys fight for the UFC's undisputed bantamweight title if they wanted to fight each other?
No, I wouldn't be behind. I wouldn't be behind that at all. Oh yeah, sorry, he's back. I think.
No, Cody's going to try to clean him up. I think.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm thinking of that now because Merab's at a point where he wins 1 or 2. Man, he's right where he wants to be. So I'm going to say Merab definitely wouldn't do that, but I don't know. I'm not behind that shit at all. I never was. Oh, geez, now they're freezing. He's
cusses only.
Can we
cusses get out?
Can we block that out? And I can't even talk right. Now he's got his mouth open. He's just staring at me.
Incredible. He's sabotaging our podcast. And his will be nice and clean at the top of the fucking
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, get him out of here, Cody. Jesus Christ. So, Ray, so I got to own this. This was my idea. Went a little sideways.
Oh,
my idea.
God. Have you learned anything yet from me? Have you learned anything?
So, I mean, when Kenny Florian got married, Kurt Pellegrino, and sorry I'm doing this, was a replacement groomsman, okay? There was a travel issue, okay? I was hoping to get the call, but Kurt Pellegrino got the goddamn call as the replacement groomsman, okay? I'm not saying that Matt Serra is the replacement groomsman today, but Forrest Griffin was scheduled to join us today and had to push it off a week. So, Matty was a little bit of a pivot. No, I'm just Matty.
Are we back?
Am I back or what?
You're back. Hey,
you missed it. We complimented you for 10 minutes. I hope you could hear it.
I didn't hear shit.
Matty, I guess I'm just curious, like if you had two guys, even if it wasn't Merab and Aljo, and they were the two best in the world, right? I'm not saying you wouldn't corner anybody. I mean, you wouldn't corner anybody. But like, how do you handle that? Because Merab is not that far off, and I think the ceiling is championship for him. Like, how do you handle it if they come to you and say, "We're going to fight since we're 1-2 right now"?
Fuck. In that kind of Kenny is so funny.
He doesn't care. He disowned Aljo.
I disowned Aljo.
I'm joking.
I love it.
Hold on. I gotta get out. I heard Nick Sick wants to come on the show. You fucking
oh man.
I'm fucking around.
Oh.
But Anyway, listen, I know about that question. I listen, man. I can't see those guys. I can't see. How about this? I can never see those guys fighting. They're so close.
They're so close. All right, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What's that?
Let me ask you this. I asked Ray this. I think Merab's going to have a hard time getting fights because he's just such a pain in the ass matchup. What a great connection, huh?
Oh, man.
I mean, I have less serious questions for him. Like, when was the last time you ate non-gluten-free pizza?
Guys, I really like you. Hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Do you hear?
I hear
he's
you.
in and out. Dang.
In and out.
I'm actually in shock. We can't hear him like just in the air.
The swears always get.
We get the swears only.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the opposite of what we're. Yeah. Well, we appreciate Matt Serra's contribution. Thank you, Cody. If he can reconnect, great. If he is in transit, then you can listen to him on the UFC sponsored podcast, wherever that is ingested. I can't tell you, but Ray, it's great to see you.
Yeah, but the other thing is like, man, I just hope that never happens, and I don't even want to deal with it. But my answer would be no right now.
And I'm not trying to have that conversation. And I think my informed speculation is that they are closer than Sergio and Rafion Stotts are, but I do think that it's not totally out of the realm of possibility. I don't know. I think it's going to be hard for Merab to get fights, man. I'm turning that dude down. I'm telling you.
I gotta tell you, man, it's not even fighting. I think it's worse when you start talking about fighting before it even is there. I don't even think Rafael should even say anything right now. Just be happy be happy for Sergio. I mean, you're not really near there yet, I don't think, or he's on his way, but you put that out there now, I think that's got to be like
it's a weird situation,
right? That already creates it. I'd rather go the opposite route. It'll never happen, and I think it really won't. I think you see the way Merab is too. They asked him if he wanted to fight Frankie. He goes, Frankie should be fighting other legends, man. I really don't want that fight. He respects Frankie, and he's a different cat, man. He's a different cat. If that changes within the next 2 years, it'll be interesting, but I don't see it changing. I think he's grateful for whatever he's got. He's got an immigrant mentality. Everybody loves the guy. He's happy doing what he's doing, and he'll just keep doing it. And if it came to another situation, he's jumping in there, but I don't think with Aljo, he's going to budge. Yeah.
I'm so happy for Sergio Pettis. I always say like the best part of my job is seeing somebody break through and become an undisputed UFC champion for the first time. And even seeing somebody like Dustin Poirier get to take an interim belt home and no one's ever going to take that away from him. By the way, it doesn't have interim fucking engraved on it. I can assure you of that, Seeing a guy break through like Sergio Pettis, not that he's trying to escape the shadow of his brother, because it's a very similar situation to Nick and Nate Diaz, right? Is like they constantly push up and put their older brother on a pedestal. But I think it's really cool for Sergio. I didn't see a minute of it, but I think it's really cool.
Oh, I saw it, man. I thought he did a fantastic job. And, man, he picked that guy apart. I've never seen him look better. He looks like how old is he now? Looks like he's really coming into his own. I thought it was a great fight. Literally was happy as hell for the guy because, he's been, like with the UFC and then he went over there, but I thought he performed unbelievable against a really talented, tough Archuleta, man. That's what makes the fight even better. He was a gritty guy, and he really just stayed in the pocket, and he was punching in between punches, and he looked great, man. I thought he looked fantastic.
So I have a couple performances from the UFC card that I want to get to with you. I know you have about 9 minutes until. No,
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good
you're 1 o'clock canceled. That's right.
Yeah,
all right. So you let us know.
Here we go.
You like my green screen?
Look at this guy.
You know what it is? You can't get rid of him. I tell you, you cannot get rid of him.
Kirby.
Oh God!
Listen, motherfucker. I'm doing this for Anik and Florian. You understand?
That's right.
Hey, listen, we would just compliment you. If you didn't hear it, don't start.
Don't worry about the green screen.
Yeah.
Hey, Matty, I have far less serious questions. When was the last time you had non-gluten-free pizza? Are you still doing gluten-free exclusively?
You know what I did? Is this bothering you?
Not at all. It's fine.
I like it. Good.
This is where the fucking magic happens.
I love it.
The fucking
Holy shit, this guy. Kenny, come on, man.
We have a good time. Could you just let your fucking hair down? By the way, what did you do with that fucking mop? I
gave it. I told you. I offered it to you. Weeky took it.
I heard the cancer kids didn't even want that thing. They were, this thing smells like furry shit. Wash your fucking hair. Wash your fucking.
Oh my God.
Wash your fucking ass. Wash your ass and clip your fucking toenails. What I tell you about keeping your pie hole clean?
My kids are on Zoom. You're gonna get me yelled at.
This is a knife. Here I go. Look. I'd rather do that.
You know what? I kept inside for real. You know why?
Why?
It had nothing to do with my Wi-Fi because I had fucking driving the traffic listening to you. Anyway, what's up?
Hey, no, I'm curious. When was the last time you had non-gluten-free pizza? Are you still eating exclusively gluten-free pizza right now in your life?
Dude, don't make me be that guy. Hold on.
Oh, boy.
You see the abs?
Yeah, there's 8 of them. You have a fucking 8-pack.
I put my stomach forward too. Wait, hold on. Longo, is this a challenge? Is this a fucking anyway? I'm not you notice I don't challenge Kenny or fucking John who runs fucking 20 miles a day to pick their shirts up. Anyway. What was the fucking question again?
I'm curious. All right, so
No.
Pizza, please.
Listen, I've been gluten-free, but the other night, which was a great fucking night at Sarah BJJ, even this guy who's the most antisocial motherfucker ever. Any dude, life events, but
I gotta tell you, Kenny, the last time I clapped that much, I was at an Amway meeting in the 1980s selling Tupperware. I mean, it's a pep rally. What the hell was I even looking at?
First of all, it was a dean. First of all, let's explain to the kids, Longo, what Amway. Yeah. But anyway, they can Google it. But second of all, Dean Lister, OG of the leg locks.
Yeah,
what a nice guy. It was good to see him again. You know what I mean? So he was in town. I had him do a seminar at my place, but what a positive. The problem is such positive energy all over the place. Gloom and doom, he can only take so much.
But Marab got his purple belted.
Kenny, I felt like I got stuck in the conga line. I couldn't get off. I was like, are you kidding me? Can you just promote Marab so I can get the fuck out of here? Come on.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. I saw that. That was great.
I gave out like 5 black belts. These guys, dude, what about Sylvester getting his black belt?
Oh, yeah, beautiful. Yeah, another great guy. 100%.
Abe, DeFranco.
Yeah. We had a good group of guys. All of those guys are great.
Everybody now.
So, Maddie, how about and Ken Flo, obviously, but how about Dean Thomas getting this TV work? I mean, can we all just acknowledge our collective happiness for Dean Thomas? I mean, do you know how nice it is for me mid-round to be able to throw to my guy Dean Thomas?
He's killing it, man. What a great guy. I was doing the podcast with him. Really, really well-spoken, informative guy, man. It was great to see him get that. And I think he deserves it.
Maddie, that's your boy.
He's got a great sense of humor, Dean Thomas. You know what I mean? It's so funny. Like Dean, like we really ended up getting close on the Ultimate Fighter. You know what I mean? So it's so funny how things work out. Like we really got along. Like they gave us the and Kenny, I'm sure it was similar. They kind of fuck with you on there. So they gave us, back then when I had hair, I used to like to get a nice fade every week. I mean, you feel good when you get a fade. Otherwise you feel a little off, and to look good is to feel good, as we know.
Of course.
They would send in like this lady, this girl who was, she was fucking hot, but half a shit. So I'm like, I can't do this work on this melon. So Dean Thomas like, man, I was a barber. I got you. So he was just giving me the fade. And he would do it like, even on the 5th day, if I felt a little stubbly, he's like, man, it's gonna take care of me. We bonded Longo. Good God.
My wheels are spinning right now because I give myself a skin fade, as Ken Flo knows, every 4 days. I give myself a skin fade the day of the broadcast. And now I'm thinking, Dean Thomas can give me a fucking skin fade on show day.
Oh, yeah.
Fatten his wallet if he wants to tighten me up.
I'll tell you right now, he does it really good.
That's amazing.
You know what I mean?
That's amazing.
But that trip is jail for me. I like this every day, every morning. It's like meditation. You know what I mean?
Do you do it every day? Do you do it every day?
Well, I might skip a day, and then the following day I do it. You don't let it grow out.
But unlike Longo, at least you wash your scalp when you do it, right?
Listen, it's different.
Kenny, I mean, John, take your hat off. So on this side, it'll be the Fordham Baldies against the Wanderers with hair
Exactly.
on this side.
Let's
The
go.
Baldies, look at these guys.
You fucking greases.
Against the Wanderers.
You guys do look so fucking greasy on that
Come
side of
on,
the screen.
man.
My God.
I mean, I don't even know. This is crazy.
Don't hate. Look at this.
I mean, I could cook. Never mind.
Yeah.
So,
Tony, can you maneuver the cameras so they look like a complete S when they put their heads together? Is that possible?
Use my fucking.
There you go. Look at this.
Thanks, Cody.
I love it.
Yeah.
Heads together.
Ass cheeks right in the middle of the broadcast. Love it, Kenny.
So, so all right. One thing I had for you guys, right? And Maddie, so first fight of the night for the UFC last weekend. Maybe you guys will get to this on your show today. But you got this guy, Carlston Harris, right? From this tiny South American nation of Guyana. And he's one of 10 children, you know, and he tells us some days we would have 1 meal a day, sometimes 0 meals a day, depending on the day, right? Dude goes out in the UFC debut, 34, 33 years old, whatever he is, and submits a guy with an anaconda, right? And wins a $50,000 bonus, man. It's like, this is what this is all about, man. You know,
we just say that this, you know, I just want to mention that we found him looking for a fight because that deserves it.
That's right. Of course.
Where was he? The Kitanda? Down. This one, Dana, to his credit, we weren't looking for that guy or at that guy. I mean, we were looking at everybody, but we weren't there specifically. There was some names specifically that Dana's like, yo, this one, that one.
Right.
And then we're like, yo, where'd this guy come from? And Dana was a little concerned about the age, to be honest. But the story was too good. Backstage, what a sweetheart. You can tell, like, when it's really, like, the guys are just, it's life-changing. Like, you can see in their eyes, and it's like, that guy, he started telling us the story back then. And I'm like, wow. And then for this debut, on top of that, you know, that's really great. That's really fantastic for him. You know, life-changing.
That's so funny that you were there. I totally forgot about that, but it was absolutely, it was in United Arab Emirates, and he cut 17 kilos in 24 hours because obviously you guys were going to be in the building. But Dana White looking for a fight. I love you, Barry, in the Contender Series, putting over your show. Fucking savage.
Are you gonna be in Texas?
Houston, Texas? Yes.
Oh my, buddy. I'm gonna be
there. Outstanding. Maybe we'll put something in the air, if you know what I mean. But so what do you guys got coming up on the program today? UFC Unfiltered Video Podcast.
We're starting half an hour.
Do you even know what's on the show? Do you even fucking know who's going to be on the goddamn show?
Don't hit me with these hard questions.
Well, the pizza one I had asked 3 times. That was the easiest question.
I didn't even answer that. But listen, no. I had
you didn't even answer it yet.
We celebrated with some real pizza.
Good.
At the enlisted seminar. Okay.
Wow.
Good.
Very impressive.
My guys, you know, it's not every day these guys become a fucking Jedi. You know what I mean?
Right. That's true. That's true.
Right.
So, well, hey, man, we sincerely appreciate the extended time. I know your day starts early. You got your nap in, but it's great to see your face, man. I don't really have anything else, you know.
He's all smiles.
Listen, this is the guy that just sticks around. He lingers. Yeah. What's the next topic? All right, listen.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to be a little more forthcoming than, you know, you got your napping.
Oh, man.
Real big perk plus. Listen, I cut my toenail. I cut my fucking toenail. I did.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Listen, so what was I going to say? All right, listen, let me just plug a couple things.
Yeah, please.
The 300th show, motherfucker.
Yes, plug everything you want, man. The name's on the building, Sarah BJJ.
UFC Unfiltered, myself and Jimmy. What a bunch of, sometimes Longo Gessos.
That's right.
You know, in the immediate future, but we'll have him back.
And he gets
Kenny, congrats on everything with the fucking from your new announcing gig.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Fucking go box or whatever the fuck you do with that.
That too.
Congrats. You know,
hey,
thanks, Matty.
See you in a week. UFC Unfiltered, looking for a fight.
My man. You're the man.
I don't know what, it would be so cool if I knew which button to press.
Cody knows what button
Yeah,
to press.
Cody.
See, Matt's like the me version of his show. Like John does all the work. I just show up and answer questions,
yeah,
you know
no,
what I
no.
mean?
He's got notes on that show too. He didn't look at them yet. That's why he couldn't answer. Hey,
So,
Cody, great job, Cody. You're about a fucking half hour too late. Good try. Good college try on that.
That was actually
That's what she said.
That was the best line of that entire segment right there. So, Ray,
yes,
you know, Ken Flo keeps things close to the vest, right?
Oh,
you know, it's just not broadcasting everything to everyone as some of us are inclined to do it.
Oh man, here we go.
So, but he did acknowledge on social media over the weekend as he is soliciting baby boy names. You and I have combined, Ray, to produce 4 daughters and 1 son. Ken Flo and his wife are going to welcome a baby boy into the world inside of the next 11 days. How about that?
Congratulations. Really? That's great.
Yes.
Congratulations.
So,
what's the name?
One of the names.
Yeah.
I can release the name right now if you like.
I'm saying he's going with his father's name, Augustine.
Pitbull, Dragon, Ronan, Florian. It just rolls off the tongue. It's perfect.
I think Ronan is pretty good. Maybe Raymond. What about Raymond? Do you like the name Raymond?
I like Raymond.
Raymond is timeless.
Your father's name is Augustine?
Augustine.
Yeah, I tell you, my father's name was August, too.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. Isn't that crazy?
Get out of here.
I got to talk to you off air because this is really weird that you're telling me this. But anyways.
Why is that?
Why can't you guys talk about it here?
I'll say off the air. That's interesting.
Oh,
See what I mean? See what I mean? Close to the fucking vest.
I mean, he went by his middle name most of the time because I think August probably wasn't, maybe it was, I thought it was maybe too Italian back then. I don't know.
Right.
But August
Augusto.
Nicholas.
I like it.
Yeah.
And Ken Flo, your dad does go by Gus to some. Is that
he
true?
goes by Gus? Yeah.
I gotta say, that's what I used to call my old man, Gus.
I love it.
Funny, man.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
awesome. That's so weird.
I mean, that's the first thing. Every time I saw your father's name on Twitter, I was like, "Wow, it's crazy." Because that's not a common name.
Right? No, it isn't.
Right.
It isn't.
And we're gonna have this conversation when we're done the show. So because I'm very curious. But the only thing I have for you left, Ray, and then you can plug whatever you want on the way out, like your friend Matt did so eloquently.
I got a little dignity. I got a little dignity. Sorry.
So,
oh my goodness.
Gregor Gillespie, former Ring of Combat champion.
Yeah.
And just have a lot of respect for the valiance and the performance over the weekend. I just was curious if you had anything for us on that.
Man, what I tell you, after that first round, and when he went back to the corner and the camera kind of got on it, they almost made you believe it could be a doctor's stoppage almost from exhaustion, like something like that. Yeah. But the way he came back, and I thought that was the gutsiest performance I've seen in a while, because the first round was rough. I think he's normally used to getting what he wanted, but I think what he said was interesting. Like, if he's tired, then the other guy's got to be really tired. And I think it's kind of like a Marab mentality where they're not stopping. You know what I mean? So, 100%. Man, hats off to him. I thought it was, rough first round, wasn't looking good.
Yeah.
And, man, it just came down to conditioning, man. And he's got that Khabib mentality. They just don't stop. They're going to get what they want, and then they got a good top game. Marab is a little different because he wants to he told me he don't care about holding anybody down. He just wants to almost hit him a couple, let him up and put him down again. He could do that all day long. And he's not going to panic either. You know what I mean? He's definitely, I'm glad he got to show his striking a little bit. That's all we're concentrating on now with him. And but I don't want to take it away from Greg. I mean, I just thought it was a crazy performance, especially after the first round. Little adversity, but man, that guy came back and he wasn't going to be denied that takedown, and he got the finish against a really tough guy on the floor.
You put it well. He is absolutely of that ilk, guys like Khabib and Marab. I get the inclination.
He's going to go. Yeah, he's going, man.
You know what happened this weekend? I know it happened. I don't even have to look it up.
What happened?
Gray did extra rounds.
No, I didn't do extra rounds this weekend.
You didn't do extra rounds?
I swear to God, that's true.
Because actually, all right. So I cheated a little bit there because your name was in the promo. We didn't read it, but I think your name was in the promo. Yeah, I thought it was going to be you and Pearl Gonzalez, but
I mean,
I digress. You're just very sharp with your analysis, and sometimes when your analytics are so good,
Yeah,
I
I
feel
already-
like you've
I
already
went
done a
through it
post-fight
already.
show and you're cheating off the old notes.
I went through it already. Yeah, that's I like your acumen on this. Very good.
So I won't see you in Houston. What do you got going on the rest of the week, month?
That's it. We got next one is Aviv Gonzalez. He's fighting at Bellator in May 21st. So it's 2 weeks.
Man.
So I'll be heading to Mohegan Sun. And I had another guy on the 28th, but he just broke his hand, Nazim, which was he was looking great. He was, just an unfortunate thing, but he'll get better and be back. He'll be one of the guys looking, to look forward to in the future.
Yeah.
That's coming out of this place. So all good stuff.
Longo will pronounce a Viviani Araujo on you, but just don't ask him to pronounce his own athletes' names on live radio because can't do that. Hey, before we all get on out of here, 300 episodes, Ray. I remember coming up to Longo in January or February of 2015, or you can look it up. I think it was at a Weidman fight or an Eddie Gordon fight or whatever it was, but said, hey, Ken Flo and I are thinking about launching a podcast and we want to have a coaches segment and we want you to be a part of this every Monday indefinitely. And I think Ray at times was actually more receptive to it than Ken Flo at first. Not that Kenny was like giving me a bunch of flack, but Ken Flo's like, you want my every Monday and like, you're not going to pay me a dime. What are we doing here, John? So you were obviously our first choice and you signed on the dotted line. And I know UFC Unfiltered pays you a lot more, but I just want to thank you and acknowledge you. And the audience obviously has a love affair with you. And,
absolutely.
We feel like this show in a lot of respects is the little engine that could, right? Meat and Potatoes podcast. And you're a huge part of it. So I just want to thank you. We've arrived at 300 and not slowing down, as they say. So,
hey, man, and I got to say thank you for even entertaining the thought of bringing me on. But, man, I enjoy every second of this stuff, talking to you guys. It's just fun. And I think you also said it'll be a minute. And I think you said we won't talk fighting. I think that's what you had said. Like there was something like, I'm not going to pick your brain about like the fights or coaching or is that correct?
Well, it definitely, the inspiration was that it was going to be shorter because again, I was looking at a 45 or 60 minute podcast with the mentality of leaving the audience wanting more as opposed to being, 3 hour full diaper, if you will. Right. But yes, it was going to be shorter. And I thought that I thought that maybe it would take on a more rapid fire question tone. And obviously it would be comedic. It wasn't going to totally ignore fighting, but I think obviously it evolved into maybe being more technical at times. And other Ray Longo minutes like today's just go completely off the
I weaseled my way into the show. That's really what happened.
No way.
No, I mean, not at all.
Awesome.
But, and I will say too, and I've said this to Kenny, and certainly Kenny will experience this when the PFL has fans back. But when I'm on the road, people are talking to me about the podcast. Like when fans come up to me, they're asking me about the podcast and the two of you clowns. So, hey, here's to 300 more. Thanks to our guests, Sayif Saud, Matt Serra, Joe Osborne, Ian Parker, and of course, the great Ray Longo. Our executive producer is Cody Merrow. With that, for Longo, for Ken Flo, I'm John Anik saying so long for now. Flo, best of luck. Perhaps there will be a new edition by this time next week. Hey, maybe he'll share the birthday with you on May 26th. And hey, yes. Patty Militich, me and you, buddy, 3 rounds, 2 minutes, 2023. Loser wears a mask for a month.
Wow.
No, Ray, there's no
Kenny,
more talking.
I'm in the running. May 20th is my birthday. I'm saying I'm pulling for May 20th. Wow. Right. You're the 26th.
Yeah, Cody's a May baby. We got a bunch of May babies.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. That's right. Happy birthday to our producer, Cody Merrow, who will be with us at UFC 262 May 15th, celebrating birthday number 28. What a piece.
Wow.
28. Yeah. 28. Born in like the mid-19. Born in like the mid-1990s.
Another weak millennial.
On that note, yo lit.
Take it easy, guys. Love you guys. Happy birthday, Cody.